Alright guys, we got the E4od here. It's all cleaned up, as you can see. It may not look too cleaned up, but it's got some sort of black paint on this one instead of being bare aluminum. But the outside's cleaned up, inside's cleaned up. And go over a few things. So why these fail. Sorry about the camera bouncing around. Well, here's what failed first. Here's our forward clutch assembly. Oh, right there. And you can see that this got so hot, it even melted the plastic thrust washer. The drum's black. And there's a steel. There's a friction. No friction material on it whatsoever. I mean, it is... Well, I lied. There's the friction. But there's no friction material left on it whatsoever. I mean, look at that. That's burnt up. I mean, she is garbage. Every single one of them's like that. And a couple possible causes. What we got here... Oops. Is this assembly here. Your piston assembly. When I pulled it apart, all this was rattling around. I mean... whole assembly got too hot and distorted. I mean, you can see this wave plate here is all black. Pull it out. It's all black, and then it got chewed up because your ring here, instead of being in the right spot, it was on the top side of this, which is not supposed to be. And also, if you can see this, those are what's left of our lip seal. I already pulled it apart and I threw it back in there now, but it dropped right back in there, and that should not drop back in there. You should take a feeler gauge to push that lip seal back in. So, you know, that was junk. Oh, and it tore that up pretty good too. That pinion assembly is garbage. I mean, that's how much heat got into that bad Betty. I mean, she is bad. So, potential causes. Lip seal on the piston could have failed. So your apply pressure was not good. And then your clutches started to slip. Another potential cause is, what's that finding here? Your center support. Now if you look here, this is really common on these E4ods. See this groove right here to here? This is supposed to be covered up. This is not supposed to be covered up, but I mean this shiny part here is supposed to be pretty much the same height the whole way across. And you see it did it here, and there, and there, and there. Now that's not machined like that. What's causing that is the fluid's actually eroding that away. And then your center support rocks, causing fluid to leak past. Alright, so yeah. So then your center support's unstable, and that's not good, causing your tolerances to not quite seal up right, which is pretty important for these sealing rings here, because this is rocking. Those aren't sealing right, which then causes, let me find, oh, I set this on top of that. Then causes, I don't know if you can see this or not. You see those two grooves there? Normally you'll have two grooves, but they'll be smooth. This one you can catch your nail on, and that's junk. That drum's junk. It's not going to seal anymore. So because that center support was getting bad, it caused that. So that means you have fluid leaking. Could have also been the cause of why them clutches failed. But the repair kit, you do not just get a new center support. You get a machine down center support. And what they do is they shave down these surfaces 0.049 to 0.053, I think is the given tolerances. They shave that down. And you take this snap ring. I even have the part number for the snap ring. Right there, and then you put that in there, and it gives it more surface area so that doesn't do that again and rock and erode that away. So that's kind of the fix. I'm most likely thinking that the reason that this failed is because of that. Now looking at the whole transmission torn apart, and we lost too much fluid, which caused the forward drum to overheat, which then the lip seal burnt out, and then caused these clutches to smoke. Then there is one more thing that you should check, not really as common on these E4ods, but your pin here, especially on the EFODs. It's really common for the pin to get loose in the bore. So what you do is take your pin, shove it in there, and you want pretty much no play. And I mean, this one has like no play. If you feel play, that's garbage. I mean, you can get a new pin. Sometimes the pins wore. Usually that's not the case, sadly. Usually the case is wore because steel pin, aluminum case, aluminum softer. But I'm not sure on the E4ODs because I've actually never had one happen to me on all the ones I've done. I've just heard about it from a few other people, but I know the EFODs offer a slightly larger diameter pin. I mean, it's just slightly. I mean, you only notice it on the calipers. You can't really notice it by your eye, and that will seal up that bore. But if that pin's leaking fluid, that will also cause problems. So that's kind of our I just wanted to, before I start rebuild here, give you guys a little update that new center support. I mean, if you're in doubt, just replace it. They're like shit. Nothing hardly. I mean, $50 with the new center support or the shave down support in the ring. I mean, you send them back your old one's core, or if you want, you have access to a brake lathe, and you can chalk this up in there. You can turn that down the 49 to 0.053, and then just buy that Sonix ring, and that'll do just good because that's the same thing they're doing. They're just turning that down. So. But yeah, sadly, because of that forward clutch failure, we had to buy quite a few new parts. I got two new drums, new center support, new pinion. I did not upgrade to the 6-pin pinion. I mean, this is a diesel model. It's a 4-pin, but the pinions were all good. And honestly, I've really never had the problems with the pinions failing like most people do, especially on a stock IDI motor, which, you know, these IDI diesels really don't make that much power in the first place, so it kind of is funny that people can blow them up. But, you know, it's to each his own. If you want to upgrade to the 6-pin or 6-pinion one, be my guest. But that's just me. It's not that big of a deal to me. But yeah, well, sorry for rambling on. Sorry for the camera bouncing all over hell. I just figured it'd be easier for me to bring the camera around to the parts than bring the parts to the camera. So yeah, that's pretty much what can cause your E4OD to fail. And that's it. Well, I'll see you next on Rebuilding Her.